This is for heaven.
What it is, what it is, what it is. Auburn Tigers. What is it, really? I mean, what is going to happen? What are we experiencing? Before I get to all that, I've not done a college football related video on this channel in a while. I kind of got started like my first couple of years in this, doing some more Auburn content, and then I kind of fell to the wayside. But I have for some reason started following Auburn again as far as football goes in the last couple of last few months. I kind of fell off in my attention given to the football program since I would say the middle to latter part of the 2020 season. I still watched the games, but I couldn't get up for it. It was just fucking some of the Harsin stuff, the booster stuff, more of the Harsin stuff, more of the booster stuff, some Bo Nix thrown in there throughout. It's just been some really terrible stuff going on. I'm gonna try to keep this PG as possible. We'll see how that goes. But essentially, the format of this is going to go in such a way where I'm going to try to do kind of a schedule overview and then kind of go shortly, hopefully, more in depth with each game, just a general prediction. And we'll just start here. I'll do a schedule breakdown real quick. So I feel personally, looking at this schedule, that this broke out pretty well. I notice, as many Auburn schedules are, it is within the general top 3 to top 5 of most strength of schedule metrics, which should be, if you go to the defending national champion, you go to the runner-up, you play a top 5 team in terms of talent in A&M, you play a top 8 team in terms of talent at LSU. I believe the 247 composite just came out yesterday in terms of talent, and I believe LSU is number 8, if I remember correctly. So Penn State, they have one of the worst quarterbacks you may find in a top 15 talented team, but they are about top 15 in terms of talent. And some other really hard games thrown without. I mean, at Ole Miss against Arkansas, at Mississippi State, who beat you. I mean, nothing there looks easy in that back half, but you essentially have an entire month, give or take, to figure out how to acclimate TJ Finley in this league as a full-time starter. So that's nice. You got 2 games to figure out, your offensive line, which really you need to figure out center position with Brahms. Here's an anecdote. I'm 23. I graduated last December. Brahms, I believe, was competing against Caleb Kim my freshman year, if I remember correctly. So 5 years later, strung over with the Nick Brahms tenure, which you never want anybody to go through what he went through. Kind of towards the end there as far as health goes, but they got time to get things figured out. I think the home games, you should honestly be at worst. I think you have 3 real swing games. Well, so I think, if just looking at it without making predictions, really, I think you feel good about the Penn State game in terms of like 50-50. I think you feel better than 50. LSU, I think you feel better than 50. LSU could be LSU's floor ceiling are very wide, and I would say I'd lean towards the floor in most instances. Looking at the LSU team, Arkansas, I know the rankings won't reflect that. They're 19th. They'll probably be higher depending on how things go. But I would honestly believe that you should probably look at recent history and think to yourself, you should probably beat Arkansas. I know Arkansas probably could be a better team than what they were. I mean, Treylon Burks, they could be a better team overall, but literally, Kaden Jefferson subsisted on Treylon Burks, and their offense as a whole did. So I'm not sure what that looks like without him being there. I still think, in terms of 50-50, you should feel better than 50 playing against Arkansas. I don't think they're much talented, if really talented at all, more talented than Auburn, but they're a well-coached team. I would maybe think even a better coached team, although they did get quite decimated against Bobo last year, which might have been Bobo's best coaching display the entire season. So And A&M, I mean, I think the talent has really got to a point where finally, I think A&M and Auburn are like roughly the same program, give or take, from 2013 to 2019, give or take. And you can see that in the score. It's pretty much the road team won every time except 2018-19, where I think Auburn won back to back. And then, am I correct in that? I think I'm correct in that. Am I correct in that? And then 2020, 2021, A&M won both times. And I think a lot of that, especially the 2021 game, was just pure talent. One team was significantly better than the other in terms of talent. Well, I say that because in that game last year, well, we'll get back to that later in the preview. But yeah, I think this is a as favorable schedule structurally in terms of home in a way that you could ask for, and then the way games are played that you could ask for, considering the situation. You'll pretty much know where you're at after October. Like if pretty much just like last year, if you get murdered in October, then November really won't matter that much in terms of evaluating Harsin. Really anything. I mean, that's going to pretty much be GG by the end of October if you really get blasted in terms of that. Jaden Daniels, I believe he's starting. He was okay. Let's see. What is it easier on down the road of the season? Auburn has a 5-2 or better record heading to the bye week. So their bye week is on week 8. I guess that'd be. If you got their 5-2, I think it'd be a W. I think that would be a real W, matter of fact. So let's say you lose to Georgia by, 15. And let's say you lose to, I think the best case scenario for that L would be against Ole Miss. So let's say you lose against Ole Miss by like a touchdown. That's a good case scenario, I think. We're really thinking we're evaluating the season. How do you retain Harsin? And if you think about it in that limelight, I think that you really want to be 5-2 by that bye week, and you'd hope to be, I would say up to the A&M game, which is the 10th game of the season, I would think you want to be about 7-3, because pretty much everybody expects that basic scenario this is like 7-5, 8-4. That's like as soon as 8-4. So that's your ceiling. I would say momentum wise and keeping the fans engaged, which is important because you do need the fans to not be as recalcitrant as they, could be with how tepid it might get in terms of the atmosphere at times. The boosters want this motherfucker gone. I'm sorry to curse, but they want him gone. And his buddy has just been fired a week ago, basically now. So you have to watch out, in terms of morale. I don't think the boosters are going to be letting things go smoothly if things are not going smoothly. Let's just say that. Texas A&M didn't score off a touchdown against Tigers despite when it's set 20-3. I'll get into that. So yeah, that's a brief overview. So what we'll do now is get into the games itself. Let me see. I had this up, so I figured I'd cover it. This will be pretty quick because we already went pretty in depth here. But so here's pretty much the synopsis here. Mercer, not very talented. 38-10 isn't very awe-inspiring. To me, against a bad team, you pretty much want to be around, I think, in the high 40s, mid to high 40s, like 45 and plus. I think it's where you want to be at against a bad team. 38 to me is never an awe-inspiring score against a really bad team. But, I mean, A&M, Auburn against Alabama A&M in 2012 beat the shot at them like 73-10, and obviously that didn't translate to the Alabama game of that year, so it doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things what you do, but I'm never really inspired by a 38 against a really bad team. Although Mercer wasn't a horrible team last season offensively, or looked like it against Morehead State, but I digress. This is kind of more what I would like to have. I mean, I think this is a game that let's not go into game by game. Penn State 21-17. Okay, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the tone of the game, I guess. Auburn against Missouri. Give up a good amount of points, but not a lot of points. Okay. Auburn against LSU, nail clincher. It always is. An ass kicking. Okay. It's not that bad. It could be worse. I mean, We keep on losing to fucking Georgia. I'm tired of losing to Georgia. I hate losing to Georgia. I really do. Auburn against Ole Miss, 31-27. That's about your usual Auburn Ole Miss game. Offense. Someone messes up for a long extended streak on offense, and then someone clutches it out. Usually it's Auburn. Auburn against Arkansas. Usually we don't lose to Arkansas, but okay. Auburn against Miss State. Some of the inconsistencies in the schedule predictions kind of weird me out because this is not a game that should be like this. I know Mississippi State has really had some more talent in Leach's ideal spots on the roster. I mean, it was a good defense talent-wise that he got. They've gotten a couple guys in the transfer portal to help him out. I mean, it's not a bad team. Will Rogers was precise against a lot of good teams. I don't know, dude. That last year's game was... All right, so yeah, this one's the most shocking to me. I don't understand. A 4-game losing streak. Oh, wait, what the hell? Yeah, that's losing. Wait, what the fuck? Huh? A 4-game losing streak? We won in 2019 and at least won in 2017. Did we win in 2018? How have we lost 4? All right, I don't love. I don't love this. What I've read so far in this at all. I don't enjoy this at all. What I've read out of this, but whatever. So at this point, we're gonna get a little bit deeper into the content, the structure, game by game. I pretty much have these listed, I think, game by game, because I don't know why I closed the damn schedule out before I got to look at these, but I believe they're all listed game by game. So Mercer, not really much to cover here. I don't want to really, spend too much time with this, but Mercer, they have a very explosive running game. They have a quarterback that pretty much aired it out to this fella right here. I heard a podcast, Auburn podcast, that kind of just went briefly over kind of some successes that Mercer had, and pretty much the successes were Ty James, get the ball to him. So my idea would be pretty much double him up, maybe not double him up all game, but shade some help over. Your front should do a lot better than Morehead State. I imagine there's probably a lot of pitch and catch in this game, just getting to a wide open dude without much pressure on the quarterback. That'd be my thought process. So I would think to myself, this is probably should be I'd guess 42 to 7 type of game. Maybe 13, 42 to 13. That's where I'm feeling. I think you need to get TJ Finley, I would say, at least a halftime, regardless of what the score is, even they're up big at halftime. I think he needs all the reps possible. I think there needs to be, honestly, routes aside, I think you probably need to have bare minimum 25 passes for TJ. You really want to get him comfortable throwing the ball deep. Really, the attempts aren't necessarily the biggest thing. You just need to have a really good yard per attempt. And I have yard per completion, but yard per attempt. You need to have that at least, I would say, north of 8 yards. And it needs to be the same for San Jose State, too. You need to have a really good idea of who is going to be catching these deep balls. Because without those, it's just going to be last year where you excelled in the 10 to 15. I mean, not excelled, but you did well in the 10 to 15. You had good tight end play. You had a couple good slot guys. You didn't really have a wide receiver one. Excuse me. But you did moderately okay in 10 to 15. Maybe even 20. But you did horrible pretty much for most of the season, going past 25, 30. That just can't be the case again. I mean, you got to figure out some way to stretch the field. And there's options from what I understand now. So it's been so many damn fire trucks. So many. So yeah, my premise here is that you need to have, I would say, at least 3 20-plus yard passes that are completed in this game from TJ Finley. I would hope that you get a good quarter of play for Robbie Ashford. I mean, you're going to need Robbie at some point, I feel like. I mean, TJ, big dude, very, he's supposed to be faster now, but still relatively slow. Very possible you get hurt again. It's very, very possible. So I'd like to have an idea what Robbie is. I think Calzada will probably be pretty despondent if he's not starting by like game 5. So I like to have a good idea of what Robbie looks like. I imagine you just don't have enough reps to give Calzada with trying to figure out what TJ is. So I'd like to have Robbie ready to go personally. And it's just hard to split second and third reps in the course of a game. Whether or not you're winning or losing, it's hard to split those reps up. So yeah, I'd hope for like 42 out of 10, 42-13, something like that. Hopefully they are ready to carry the mantle. So 42-13, San Jose State. Really don't have much to say about them. I don't know anything about San Jose State whatsoever. But here's a depth chart if you want to look over it. I'm hoping that you just really blow them out and get some rest for the guys. I mean, Penn State is a very physical team, so you want to have everybody pretty much rest as much as possible. I saw that defense last night. It was not great, but they do play tough, and they got a really talented cornerback. More than anything, Joey Porter was a damn monster out there. A real dog, if I may say so. I don't know. For San Jose State, I'd go like, you might be calling ahead. I'll say like 30 to 6. 30 to 6. That's where I'm feeling at. 30 to 6. Third quarter, I think you get TJ out by like early third quarter, like 2 drives in the third quarter. I think he's out of there. Running game for these 2 games it won't really matter because the offensive line should push back pretty easily against the guys we're playing. But let's say Tank has 220, 230 yards by the end of those 2 games combined, and you have let's say 130 for Jarquez. Let's say that. So for the first game that matters, you have Penn State. Like I said, Joey Porter went off. Their defense did not look great at all. I thought Purdue did a decent job running, keeping it respectable. A ton of 10 to 15 plus yard plays in abundance, really, and then a couple that just really took the top off. That white guy was amazing. I think his name was Connor Jones, I believe. Charlie Jones, there we go. Yeah, he was insane. A pick six, one of the worst passes I've seen in my entire life by Sean Clifford. Really just horrid. Really bad. Purdue did not have a good defense either. They had a particularly non-ideal defense, I would say. Actually, they absolutely stuffed the running game for Penn State, which I think Auburn did the same thing. It should be a sign of things to come. You would hope that they can maintain that Auburn's front 7, but Penn State did get some late ones when they needed them. Tinsley was their main guy. You can kind of see yards wise. Clifford. I forgot I called him that. Clifford was really bad. Outside of that drive, to pretty much save his reputation and the game. He's terrible. You can't let him look like he did last. Last year? You can't do that again. That was embarrassing to let him. That was really, really disgusting to let him look the way he did. Really bad. And they should be even worse running the ball this time around. Parker Washington's a really good receiver. Tinsley looked great last night. But all the same, dude. You can't. Joey Porter was like a damn clamp guy out there. You couldn't even throw Joey Porter's way. And some really poor coaching in terms of who they were targeting out there. Routinely throwing Porter's way towards the end of the game. I don't understand why. I really don't. I don't know what went into that. But I think the defense is very susceptible, especially in the kind of that range that I think Bo Nitz and even Finley to a much lesser degree did well in throwing to in terms of the range, about 10, 20 yards. That's an area where I think they should be susceptible again against us. However, you got to complete the passes, so we'll see how that goes. But I like for this to be a game where your possession receivers, if you have them, should be eating this game. Your Shedricks, your Camden Browns, the tight end, the starting tight end that was great last year. I forgot his name. Shanker should be fine in this game. Landon King. These guys, your bigger guys, should be great in this game. And if you do target Porter, right? You need to have Porter against your big dudes, against Landon King, who will probably be out wide at moments. Against Camden Brown, maybe. Although I don't want to have a true freshman against a guy that's doing what Porter did last night. So, and then I will say the front seven did really well against Aiden O'Connell last night. Although Aiden O'Connell was mind-boggling stupid. I mean, some of the sacks he took were just some of the worst I've seen. Just completely ignorant to the pressure that was coming in. I always consider, I see this, I'm not going to prognosticate scenario-wise what's going to happen, but I see this being a game where Finley, we're going to have to pretty much decide, it's going to be two paths. If he's as mentally, not slow, but at his time clock, if his clock in the pocket is as bad as it was last year at times, this is going to be a really tough game, because I like to think Aiden O'Connell was at least better mentally in terms of speed than TJ was last year. And Aiden was horrible. So if that's what you have going on, it's going to be a really tough game for Finley. And pretty much the whole front seven as a whole, even though their front seven, their running backs did okay. Their front seven. Purdue's running game did okay. But if you do have a quicker Finley, a much quicker one, mentally, again, not physically, just mentally, I think you should win this fairly, not easily, but I mean, this could be a 10-point win if you can just say, hey, Philly's going to have less than 4 negative plays throughout the course of the entire game. It's going to be, let's say, about a yard per average of, I don't know, 8 yards. That may be a little bit much, but about 8 yards. If you can have that plus, I'd say about 90 to 110 complete total yards from Tank, I think that's the makings of a win. If this is a 10-point win for Auburn, I'd probably have something like 30 to 10, or no, like 30 to 18, 30 to 19, something like that. Like, I feel good. I feel good 27-17. So that'd be 3-0 for those at home. 3-0. Missouri, who had a really good game outing last night. It was actually touch and go there for a couple of drives. I believe I was looking at it for up until like the late first quarter, and it was still relatively close. But they had some really high yards. If you look at this, they have some good guys. I don't want to. I don't care. I don't care about Missouri. I'm sorry. I don't care about Missouri. I tried as long as I could. I don't care about Missouri. I'm sorry. 4-0. I think Missouri is going to air the ball out. I think they're going to try to really pressure Auburn secondary. I think it's going to really test the depth in Auburn secondary more than anything. And if you do have the level of secondary depth that God said we have had, I mean, a lot of people say this is as deep a secondary as we've had in the recent memory, which, if you remember, there's been some secondaries that have had multiple NFL players, both at quarterback and some guys that are fringe NFL players at secondary, guys that at least were UDFAs. That says a lot. So I think what really I see with people, it's not that like maybe the first 2 or 3 guys are as good as, say, 2019 or 2018, but like your next few guys are as good. Like your depth is as good. Your secondary, your safeties might be better than some of those teams had. Which some of those teams that's really like 2019. You look at some of the back end that secondary. Daniel Thomas, Stephen Roberts, Christian Tutt. Like you may not be too hard to be better than that. But it's gonna really test it. I think that gets to really test it. So I think scoring should be pretty easy. This should be kind of close to what the what am I thinking about? The Auburn Ole Miss game from 2020. Like that should be kind of like the makeout here. You should have pretty much 2 teams that may be ideologically different in how they want to move the ball, but both probably will have some success between the 20s. It's just about Auburn to have more success actually stopping in the goal line type situations, like 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, red zone situations, stuff like that. That's where I think Auburn will hopefully make the difference up. So I'd say something like probably 24 35-38. You know, I mean, that feels about right. Let's see. So LSU, that's another divider, another swing game. If you look at their lineup, a couple guys returning. I mean, I remember Booty. He was really good. I think he got hurt late. You know, I'm not going to pretend to know the offensive line very well. Jaden Daniels. They got Noah Kane. What the hell? Oh, shit. I know they had Noah Kane. Noah Kane from Penn State. He was really damn good for Penn State. I didn't know he left. Why did he transfer to damn LSU? He went from the damn, what do you call it? The frying pan to the pot to the fucking fires or whatever. Like, that was what he did. Wow. Okay, that's weird. Jaden Daniels was solid. You know, I wouldn't say more than solid at Arizona State. The season where they like really made a Pac-12 championship run, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was about, I want to say 3 years ago now. Maybe 2. No, that would have been 2. That was the COVID season, I want to say. I think that was them. They competed for it. He was okay. This is pretty much his first year, and it's pretty much been a tailspin since then. But he's a solid, very talented dude. BJ Ojulari, the spawn of the other Ojulari that was the best player of all time in Georgia. Some good names here. Some really good names, you know. Nothing that stands out to me. I mean, they had so much transfers, I can't really even say. Steven Banks from Alabama. He's apparently a backup now, I guess. Wow. Some names that, you know, I may kind of look at, but so much difference. So many different guys here that I can't even really. System's doing better, maybe. But, yeah, that's kind of what I think of him as. And Jaden Daniels, maybe he has talent. I mean, I could see where Kelly makes him a much better, you know, talent. I mean, the guys here he has here are definitely better than he had, you know, 1 season ago at Arizona State. So we'll see how that goes. You know, I think we got some of the same problems we got, except we'll be playing them at home and they'll be playing us on the road. So I think it should be a struggle game where a lot of weird stuff happens as it does in LSU games, LSU matchups. But I can't see where a team that this new, in a regime that is this new, going against, I think what is pretty much, let me see, I would think one of their, they got a couple challenges. I mean, Mississippi State, that's a tough game. Florida State sucks. That's, you know, it's a couple of weird. I mean, Mississippi State's going to push you secondary wise. So whatever Auburn's going to throw at LSU passing wise won't be anywhere near what Mississippi State gives you. So we'll just see what that kind of looks like. But I would have to think to myself that this is a win for Auburn. I mean, beating LSU 3 times in a row, it's hard to predict that. Just off of that, it's hard to predict that. But I think you're a lesser of two evils, really. I think you're a lesser of two evils. So here we're going to take a little quick break. You know, you guys have been hearing me talk for a while. I'm going to take a quick break, come back, see what I got in store for you guys. Hopefully some good content, and we'll go back from there.